Hello, and welcome to this training session for glass estimating. I'm going to teach you over these next few lessons how to prepare an estimate for commercial construction glass estimating. Now, you're going to find that that's not houses. We're talking about office buildings, medical buildings, strip malls, fast food places, anything like that that's 7-Elevens even, that just have glass in them that's not normal windows. And we don't do residential. That's a separate type of estimating. We're going to deal mainly with storefront and curtain wall. We'll teach you how to do casement windows and things like that. But this basically is going to be a treasure hunt. Now, in a treasure hunt, you've got to have clues. So what I want you to do is make sure that you've downloaded all of the materials that came in the package with all the forms we're going to need. The plans, the specs, the CSI codes, the ITB, things of that nature. Now, I'm going to take a moment. You go ahead and download them. Push pause right now, and once you've downloaded everything and you have it, you're ready to go ahead and push play. If you've already downloaded them, we'll just continue on from here. Now, the first clue you're going to get is called the invitation to bid. Invitation to bid, or the ITB, because everything's an acronym in construction. The ITB gives you your first starting clue. Now, an invitation to bid comes from a general contractor who's asking your company to bid on the glass in a particular job. The general contractor is going to bid the whole job, but he'll get subcontractors like you to do all of the work, and he'll just do the general work. So, that's your first clue. The ITB tells you who the general contractor is. It tells you where you're going to send your bid when it's ready to go. It tells you if there's anything special they want in your bid proposal. And it also gives you the date and time that it's due. But the big thing it does is it gives you your first clue in the treasure hunt. The first clue in the treasure hunt is where to get the plans and specs. And those are like the maps and the guidebooks in the treasure hunt, because you're going to get clues that'll tell you to go somewhere on those maps or in those guidebooks on how to get all the material you need. Now, I will use words throughout this thing that you might not have heard before. So the first time I use them, I'll explain what they are. And after that, I won't. So if you get confused, you can always go back on the tape to where I explain the definition of a word, and it'll come out. But there won't be that many. You'll get used to them as we go. And the first project that we bid, the second time you're going to move a lot faster, you'll be more comfortable with everything. Okay. So in this first lesson, we're going to cover gathering all your resources for your treasure hunt or for your estimate. So you'll have all the materials there that you need in order to produce your estimate. So in the ITB, they will tell you where to get your plans and specs, and it's usually a website address, or you can drop by the general contractor's office and pick up a set of plans. And sometimes they come in CDs too, so you'll have to print them out anyway or use your computer. Now we're going to talk about the specific things you're going to need after the ITB. The first thing I want you to look at is in the package that you were downloaded, there's a file called CSI codes. I want you to open up that file or print that out if you haven't already. And we're going to talk about what the CSI codes are. CSI codes were developed by the Construction Services Institute, and it basically gave a number to every section of the building project. So every trade has got its own group of numbers. Glass and windows and openings and doors all come under the classification of 8000. So when you look in the 8000 series of the CSI codes, you'll find the different things we're going to deal with. Aluminum storefronts and curtain walls, glass doors, automatic entrances. And I'd like you to pull that out right now. And if you haven't, go ahead and download it. It's probably a good idea to go ahead and print it out so you have a file of it. So go ahead and do that now, and when you've finished, then hit play. Okay, now that you're looking at the CSI codes, look at the series 8000, and that deals with all openings. And you're going to see that there's a line for almost everything you can do whenever there's an opening in the building, a window or door or louvers, anything like that. So you'll see all of it's there. Plus what's in the 8000 series is the glass. 8800 is glazing. That's all of the glass. So when you're going to use these CSI codes is when you're looking at your specifications. The specifications is one of the guidebooks I told you about that we're going to be using. And you've downloaded those too. It's in your package, along with a set of plans that we're going to use for this first estimate. When you're looking them up, that's where you'll look for that specific number for what you're looking for. So if you're looking for glazing, you're going to look at 8800. So in the specification book, there'll be a section for each 1,000. So the 1,000s are all the general conditions of the contract. But specific to you are 8,000. Sometimes you'll use 7920 for caulking and silicone sealants and things like that. But not very often, just on occasion. The main thing you're going to look at is what type of glass you're going to use, what type of framing you're going to use, or if there's aluminum windows, it will explain exactly what type the windows are and who the manufacturers are. We'll get to the specifications in just a moment. But since you have the CSI codes out there now, take a look at them and look at the different things that there are. Now you can set the CSI codes aside for now, because what we're going to talk about now is the plans themselves. Okay? Now you downloaded one of the files in the download is a set of plans for a project that was put together for me by an architect, so we could use it in this training session. Now this is not a very big project, but the plans are like the maps, okay, and the specifications are the guidebooks that you're going to use for all the clues you're going to get here to come to the estimate that you need for this project. Now, the estimate itself is drawn by determining what materials you need to do the job, how much labor you need to do the job, and then you add tax and profit to that. It's very simply what it is. Sometimes estimates are very big and they take a long time. Sometimes they're really quick. You can do in an hour or two. Sometimes they'll take you days to put one together. But let's start now with the set of plans. So I want you to open up the file for the set of plans. Okay, I'm going to wait here. Now you put this on pause while you're opening up. Once you've got it opened up, then go ahead and hit play and we'll start from there. On the cover page, now I'm going to try and liven this up a little bit because you know, it can get a little boring as we go if you're not really into this. So I'm going to try and keep it lively for you so that it doesn't mess you up while you're learning. You don't get bored and fall asleep or anything like that. Sometimes if I move, this camera has to refocus, so if it gets a little fuzzy at one point, don't worry about that. Now we're looking at the cover page, and at the cover page, as I told you, you're going to have the symbols, and you're also going to have the abbreviations you can find anywhere in there that'll tell you what an abbreviation is. But mainly we're looking at the sheet index. On the sheet index, when I get a set of plans, the first thing that I do is I go look at the sheet index to see what type of sheets are in there. So if you look at this sheet index, it'll tell you where the cover page is. That's what you're looking at. And it'll show you the number of that page. That always shows up in the bottom right hand corner. So looking at the cover page, you can see that CS in the bottom right hand corner. The first thing that I look for and that you should look for when you're doing an estimate like this is the things that are really going to affect you in the whole building. So the first page you look for is the floor plan. Now if you look down there and find it, if you're having trouble seeing the floor plan on there, excuse me, it's plan A3.0. Okay, now if you've gone to the floor plan, page A3.0, I want to go over a couple of things with you here that'll help you find everything you're looking for. Now first, looking at the full page, you're going to see on the left is a reflective ceiling plan. And to the right, number 1 is the floor plan. Now it's just a rectangular shape, and it's the footprint of the building. And to the left of that floor plan, you'll see a little box that says Symbol Legend. Now if you look in the Symbol Legend, you're going to see that there's a circle under there, and it says next to it Door Tag. Then it has parentheses, and it says See Schedule, page A8.1. Okay? Underneath that is a diamond, and in the diamond there'll be a letter, and it says the diamond is a window tag, see Schedule 8.1. Now, did you find that? Find that first on the page. Alright, now let's look at the floor plan itself. Now, if you start at the top of the floor plan, there's a couple of things I want to go over with you first. You'll notice that along the top there's a door to the left at the top, and there's a circle and there's a number in it. Well, that's a number of a door that you're going to look up on the door schedule to see what kind of door it is. Okay. Now, to the right, on the right hand corner, you'll see inside the floor plan a diamond with an A in it. Now that's window number A. Okay. So when we go look at the window schedule, we know that A goes there. Now I want to show you one other thing before we get more detailed into this floor plan. You'll see on the outside of it there are circles with little black kind of arrows on the edge of the circle. Now when you look at that, the one right to the right of A, it points to that window A. It says that you can find that on page A 5.0. Now that'll show you an elevation of the outside of the building looking at it. So wherever the circle is and what it's pointing to, that's what it'll show you in that detail. It'll show you an elevation of what that looks like as if you're standing outside the building looking at window A. Okay? So we're going to go there and take a look at that in a minute. But first I want to finish up with the floor plan. What you do with the floor plan when you're gathering all your information is this is where you find out, you do a count of how many of each window there is. So when you're looking on here, you're going to go all around the edges and find all of the window markers. And there, you're going to be able to say, okay, I've got one window A. And you see the next one to it at the top there is a D inside a diamond. Well, that's window D. And then there's C next to that. And then B. And within B, we've got that door there, which gives us a circle and a number in it. So we'll know what door that is when we look it up. Now, going down the left-hand side of the page, you see there's H, and then there's G, and then F and E, all inside a diamond going down that side. Then there's a number door there. It's got a circle around it. It's number 3. Then as you go further down, you'll see a J with a diamond. As you go on down the left-hand side, I don't see any more windows. However, there is a door. All right, and the door is marked 6, number 06. Alright, go along the bottom, there's no other windows, and when you come up the other side, there's no other windows. Okay? But now there's something interesting at the top at A again, so I want you to look there. And in A, there's a little dotted line circle at the bottom of window A. Do you see that? And then there's a line coming from that, and it comes out to a circle, which says, on the bottom half it says A 8.1, and on the top half it says number 6. Well, if you look at down at the bottom at the bottom of the floor plan, you'll see where it says floor plan, there's a big circle and a number 1. Well, whenever you see a clue like this is a clue at the top, that little circle is telling you there's an enlarged detail of that little section of the window on page A8.1, detail number 6. So when you go to A8.1, if you're curious about that, you can look at detail number 6 and it'll give you a blown up detail of that connection. Okay? Now, when you look inside that top part of the floor plan, you see that there's another circle, and it's got 4 little points on the outside of it. Okay? Now that says that's going to show you an interior elevation for each side it's pointing on this page. Okay? So that page is A7.0. And when you go there, when you look at it, you're going to see, from as you're standing in the middle of the room looking, from where that dot is, that's where you're standing. And you're looking to the right, to the top, to the left, and to the bottom. Okay? And that way you can see what it looks like from the inside when it's finished. Alright? Now, we've found out here by looking at this floor plan that we have one of each window. And we also have 3 possible doors. Door number 1, door number 3, and door number 6. Now we don't know whether door number 6 is our door or not. We know the interior doors are not. They're usually not glass because they go to the bathrooms and things like that. But we need to check when we get to that. Remember, we need to check door number 6 to see what kind of door it is. It may be a glass door, but it can also be a hollow metal door or a wood door. Alright? Now, The floor plan is going to give you all the information you need to find out how many windows there are and where they're located, how many doors there are and where they're located. So that's the first stop on this path. Now, the next thing we're going to do here is, since the symbol page told us to go to A8.1, that's where we're going to go now. So let's go take a look at A8.1, and I want you to pause it here for a minute if you need to, and then go on down and scroll down to page 8.1. So it's about the next to last page in the set, so one easy way to do it is just grab the bar and go right on down to the bottom and work your way back up. But remember, the plan page numbers are in the bottom right hand corner, and they tell you what it is on everything. So we're going to go down here to page A8.1. Now in A8.1, what you're going to see is that detail. If you look at number 6, it's a blown up detail of that section that they showed you on the floor plan. Alright? Okay. 8.1 now gives you all of the window elevations. Now when we say elevation, remember, we're talking about what it looks like if you're standing in front of it looking at it in place. Okay? So you can see there that there's an elevation for each window tag that we have on the plans. That's called a window marker too. But the window tags, so there's A through J, and they skip I. Okay? So that gives you all of those windows that we saw on the floor plan. Here's what they look like. Now this also gives you the dimensions, which we're going to use later when we start doing our takeoff. Okay? Now if you look up to the top left, you're going to see the door schedule. And you remember we looked to see the door number 6 we had a question about. So if you look at 06, it will tell you across there that that's an aluminum and glass door. So that is in fact a storefront door. So it's one of ours. So on this plan, we know that we have 9 windows and 3 doors. Alright? So that's what we're going to be using. This is gathering all our information. Now let's say that you're not sure about what the things may look like, or you may have questions about certain things on the plans. If you go to the exterior elevations, which we saw on the floor plan page, was A5.0. If you go up to A5.0 now, you're going to see an elevation of what the building looks like finished from the outside looking in. Okay? So let's go there now. And it's taking my computer just a minute to get there. But we're going to go there now and take a look at the elevation. Alright, now you'll see that this gives you a complete description or a picture of what the computer, of what the building is going to look like when it's finished. Okay? So you're on A5.0, and you'll see that there's the signage, there's the door there, there's door 6 down to the right on the top one. Then if you look at the second picture there, it shows looking from straight over the top of the building, looking straight on where that door is for a D, C, and B with a door in it. And then the bottom picture shows you window A right on the right hand corner. So this gives you an idea of what the whole thing's going to look like when it's put together, and it gives you a better idea of why those window elevations on page 8.1 look the way they do, because this is the way it's going to look when it's finished. Okay? So now what we're doing now is pulling all of the plan pages that we need in order to do our bid. So A8.1 is going to give you all the information you need about the windows and the storefront and the glass. Okay, and we'll get to that when we start doing our takeoff. But I would encourage you to go ahead and look through the rest of these plan pages to see the information that's provided, especially the detail pages. So anywhere you see on the plans that something has got a dotted line around it and an arrow pointing to a circle with a page number and a detail number, That's giving you information in detail about a connection or about the way something is put in place, what the architect designed it to look like. So it sometimes helps you when you're doing your takeoff, because you might find you need some things in there that you didn't know you'd need. Like fasteners, if you're going to be attaching it, instead of to wood, you're going to be attaching it to like a steel structure. Sometimes there's still structures going across for stability, beams, that instead of tying into the wood wall, you're going to tie into the metal structure. So it just means you need different types of fasteners when you're doing your takeoff. So everybody comfortable with that? I want you to take time and go through the plan pages so you can see. We're gonna get to talking about specs now and specifications. So I want you to go ahead and download your specifications if you haven't already. Specifications, it's okay to print out, because you can look through those. You don't have to go on the computer. The plans I like to keep on the computer because it's easier to go from page to page. Now, in those specs, we're going to look at the 8000 series, which is going to tell us what type of material we're going to use. Now, in the 8400 series is entrances and storefronts. 8413 is aluminum entrances and storefronts. Okay, so we're going to look at that because this particular job, we're going to find out what needs to be there. So in the specification, once you look up the entrances and storefronts, which is 8400 series, you find that you'll see aluminum entrances and storefronts, and then you'll go down, it'll tell you the warranty information, the submittals you have to put in, a lot of information you're not going to use in the estimate. It's going to be used by the people that get the job. But you're going to go all the way down until you see products. So once you've gone down there till you see products, when you get there, pause the tape now. When you get there, then start it again. Okay, now that you've found it, under the products, you're going to see materials, and it'll tell you suggested manufacturers. In this case, we're going to use Oldcastle Vista Wall. Do you see it there? All right, that told us. So make a note that you're going to be using Oldcastle Vista Wall. And we're going to use the 451T series. 451T series. Okay? Now, let's look at your other package of resources you're going to have. And it's the plan. Talk about now specifications. Specifications will come, and sometimes they're very detailed, and sometimes they're not. They're very generic. Sometimes they're just going to give you standards that the metal has to meet, and not necessarily tell you exactly which metal to use. But in the specifications, most of the time it will tell you what material you're going to be using. In other words, whether you're using a 2 by 4.5 inch, which is standard storefront, and whether the glass is center set or front set or back set. So that means where the glass is set in the framing system itself. Sometimes they're set in the middle, sometimes they're set flush front, where it looks like the glass is just sitting there with no support, and sometimes they're set in the back. So they'll either be center set or offset. And the way we'll know if the specs don't tell us everything, which these don't, then we go look at page A8.2. And on page A8.2, that's the exterior details. And that's where it's going to give you some blown up pictures of the framing system itself. And we notice when we look at A8.2, up on the top line with right around number 6, you're going to see several pictures of the storefront itself. And in there, it shows that it's a front set, that the glass is set in the front of the framing system. So that means we got an offset system. So we're using a 2-inch profile, which is the narrow side, and then a 4.5-inch width. And now framing systems will come in all sizes, from as small as 1 3/4-inch profile, and as wide in curtain wall as 12 inches. The members can be 12 inches by 2.5, 2 or 3 inches. These all depend on how big the system is you're building and how much structure it has to have to hold the wall up, because you are building the outside wall of a building. You're just building it with glass. So we keep those things in mind as we bid. You're going to pick things up as you go, They're going to help you determine some things like such as you shouldn't really go higher than 11 feet with storefront. And if your window is higher than 11 feet, then you should go to curtain wall because it's stronger members. And little things like that you'll pick up as you go. You don't absolutely need them right now to begin bidding, but we're going to teach you all of that throughout this process. So in the specifications, it's going to tell you a couple of things that you need when you're getting ready to bid. One is what material you're going to use, and generally in the specs like these, it'll tell you this is the product is VistaWall, but you could also use Arcadia or US Aluminum or any of those manufacturers. It'll also tell you in there that you can substitute and what the process is if you're going to substitute something of a manufacturer that's not already approved. Okay. But for our purposes, for the specifications, it's just going to tell us what material we're going to use for the framing. And then when you go down to 8800, as we discussed before with specifications, it's going to tell you what glass you're going to use. Now, on this set of plans, we have a break because we know this is 2 by 4.5 inch storefront front set. So when we get to doing the takeoff, we'll go in the catalog and we'll find that particular brand when we start deciding how much material we need. It also tells us on the window schedule page A 8.1, what the glass is. We'll get to that when we do the takeoff. But now you've been given a good overview of the plans. I want you to continue and look through them just a little bit, and then come back and start the tape again. Start the video again. Okay, let's recap what we've learned in this first lesson. We learned about the CSI codes, which tell us exactly what areas of the construction project we're going to be performing. We learned about the invitation to bid, the ITB, which tells us who the general contractor is, what the job is, when the bid is due, and where we can get the plans and the specs for this particular job, or the maps and the guidebooks. We also learned about what the specifications look like, how we navigate through the specifications to find the information on the material we're going to use to build the windows and the doors. And we also learned about the plan pages, the plans themselves, how to navigate through the plans, what the symbols mean, how we find the windows and doors that we're going to be building, and how we get all the information about how we're going to build this particular project according to these plans. Now, you're now ready to take all the information we gathered from there and prepare your takeoff. So the next lesson is going to be about doing the takeoff itself, finding all the materials and all the labor that's needed in order to complete this project. The third lesson after that is going to be take all of the takeoff information that we got and prepare our proposal for the general contractor. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to bid to other generals that are bidding the same project so that you're not stuck with just one general. I look forward to dealing with you again and showing you how to do the takeoff. I hope that you'll take the next lesson and the lesson after that because you're on your way now to becoming a glass estimator. I look forward to talking to you again on the next lesson, and I hope you take the next 2 lessons. Thank you very much, and have a good day.